Now, we're delighted to be joined by Sarsfields and Galway Camogie player Orlaith McGrath ahead of the launch of this year's AIB-GA Club Championships and AIB Camogie Club Championships. Orlaith, good morning to you. How are you getting on?
Hi, hello, how are you? How's things?
Yeah, good. Not a bad year for you guys so far. This time of year to be continuously playing and with the weather as good as it is, when it's with the club, what's that actually like? What are the training sessions like? There must be quite the buzz.
Yeah, no, they are. I suppose you're in bonus territory this time of the year, especially with clubs. It means you've got the knockout stages, and I suppose when you're in the knockout stages, it makes the winter even a lot easier to train for. And you just motivate yourself to kind of get training when it's dark and it's windy and it's wet. It's fantastic. I mean, we're fortunate that we've been here a good few times in the last few years. So, it's good. It's fantastic. We still at it, like collectively this time of year, so it's good.
What is the biggest difference when you go from county to club, Orla, at the moment? Has that disparity between the standards, the facilities, everything available to you changed in recent years?
I suppose the difference is decreasing, like I suppose, as years go on, and I suppose our standards in the club have really, they've really improved in the last few years. I mean, we have a fantastic coach in Kevin Ward. I mean, he's brought training at club level to a new level, and it's just as intense, albeit not absolutely, it's not at the exact same level, but it's just as intense and it's just as professional an outlook as you would have in the Galway setup. So we're very fortunate. Obviously, facilities go. We don't have floodlights here in Sarsfields, so that's been a bit of a nightmare trying to accommodate evening sessions. But I suppose we've been very fortunate that we've got local clubs to help us out there. But I suppose, I suppose as training goes, there's not a huge disparity between the two.
Because it was something that I saw a couple of years ago, that there was a real fundraising drive from Sarsfield's perspective. I know that you were kind of front and centre leading that there is this sort of, I guess, acceptance in Club GA right now that sort of fundraising needs to happen, that sort of level of driving people to actually contribute and to try and help their club reach their potential. There is this acceptance now that needs to happen, and there's no sort of taboo about that anymore. That fundraising drive certainly seemed like a pretty big success for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, fantastic finance and a fantastic top table in our club. I think without our top table, without our club officers in the last 10, 12 years, we wouldn't be where we are. We wouldn't achieve what we have. They're fantastic. We give up so much of their time. With fundraisers every year, every year we have a huge fundraiser, and actually our fundraisers happen in 2 weeks' time. But yeah, they're fantastic, and without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do on the field. So we really are fortunate. We're really fortunate that they are such a given community fundraising.
Well, I did want to just ask you about the link-up this week that was formally announced between the GA and the Camogie Association. From a commercial perspective, the GA are now going to be looking after the sale of media rights and the sales of sponsorship at a national level. It's the bridging point and the stepping stone towards the proper full merge of the organisations. As a player, does any of this stuff matter to you? Were you reading that and going, that's interesting and that's good? What kind of an impact?
Yeah, I suppose it's now when the inter-county season is finished that you might click into those articles and you might pay more attention to them, because I suppose when you're playing during summer, all you want to do is focus on yourself, because that's a huge responsibility and task in itself. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good thing, I suppose, if they do collaborate together and they work as one as opposed to working against each other as they are. But I think particularly this summer and this championship, that was one of the first inter-county championship without a sponsor, which I suppose isn't great. So you'd hope going forward that they do that the GA have the power and they have the authority and the status to pull in a commercial sponsor for the championship.
Because there's definitely a sense that from the outside, the rising tide of interest in women's sport is lifting all boats. But actually, when we talk to people involved in individual sports, we were talking about the WSL this week and soccer, and actually there's still a sense that there's a big distance to travel. And you look at what's going on with the rugby team at the moment as well.
Yeah.
We're not finished. This journey isn't finished.
Not at all. I think even though we are making progress, especially in the last 4 years maybe, there's a huge way to go. And I think I was only chatting yesterday about, I was thinking about it yesterday, everybody plays a lot of heat in our knockout games, our semi-finals, our finals. They're televised and everybody suddenly gets a lot of interest in it, and you're suddenly here. I think that was a fantastic game, the standard's excellent, but that's for 2 games in a year, and it's almost patronising when you hear that. People don't have the interest, and I suppose the interest, it's very difficult to have interest in camogie because the exposure isn't there, and I suppose the availability of games, for I suppose just the regular fan isn't there. So I think that's huge going forward, that the likes of the commercial rights that the GA have as regards televising events on a more regular basis would actually bring it on hugely, and it would probably just expose it to people that would have a passing interest as opposed to having close links to a particular team.
Well, if you look at the interest in the underage national football team and the underage national rugby team, those games tended in the past to be coupled with, if you want to buy these rights, you've got to also show these matches. And there might be some kind of partnership that's done there where it's like you need to show 15 Camogie games if you're going to show 15 hurling games, or 10 Camogie games and 20 hurling games. But at least there's a step up to it.
Yeah, and I think even with ladies football, I think TGA obviously, they facilitate an awful lot of their group games, and I think even I wouldn't be a huge football fan in general, but you'd even find yourself getting interested in the championship and how the championship's going, because it's just there, the flick of a button on your television. So, and I think that all of small factors that do contribute to more exposure, more interest, and as a result, it just brings the game forward.
Yeah, well, look, we all have a role to play in that. Orla, we'll let you go. We know you've got to run. Thanks a million for making the time for us this morning. Best of luck. Cheers.
Bye.
That's Orlaith McGrath there from Sarsfields, obviously part of the launch for the AIB GA Club Championships and the AIB Camogie Club Championships.